All righty. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to another Quest-i-on. That was, again, Mumford and Sons, which will be, I think, the fourth time I've actually played their music on these shows. Different songs every time. And yeah, there's so much meaning packed into the lyrics. So let's dive in again. So the first song, Babel, or Babel, referencing the Tower of Babel, the biblical story about, if you're unfamiliar, it's about the God's people sort of losing their way, losing faith, and deciding to build a tower, a physical tower, in order to reach heaven. And when that happens, the story's told that God sent or scattered their languages to the winds, and that's where all the languages that we have today come from. So, of course, the deeper allegory within that is referencing this: you can't take heaven by force. You can't build an external way up to heaven. It is an internal process. And so this idea that we would look in the out there, look in the external for something that's within us, gets us into all sorts of trouble. And even spoken word, spoken language introduces the ability to lie and deceive. And, and it's not all bad, because through language, we are able to artistically express and poetically describe and do lots of wonderful things, tell stories with language. So language is not all bad. However, this is sort of referencing us stepping away from the ability to have telepathic communication, to communicate in ways other than language. And so we're sort of stripping away our divine connection, relying on this external idea. So that's the story in the Bible. And this song is all about coming back out of that. So let's read through it here. So, because I know that time has numbered my days, and I'll go along with everything you say. So in this fallen reality, this antichristic created or manifested reality, I see that's what he's referring to, or who he's speaking to here is like the Antichrist or Satan, or just the ways that man has constructed this, how we've deviated away from God's creation. And so he's just saying, and I'll go along with everything you say, because time has numbered my days, and that we're time bound. We're not really, but because of this distortion that we've fallen into and pushed ourselves into, and we don't have anybody else to blame, but we're here, and we have fallen into this idea that we are limited and mortal, that we die and that's it. And so I see that's the idea that is sort of confronting in that first little bit. But he says, but I'll go ride home laughing, look at me now, then the walls of my town, they come crumbling down. So when the walls of my town, what does that signify? The barrier between the left and the right hemisphere, or the barrier between the head and the heart, this disconnected way of living. So I'll ride home laughing, look at me now, then the walls of my town, they come crumbling down. So when we laugh at evil and this sort of false construct way of playing this game, we stop giving it power. It's hard to be afraid of something if you're laughing at it or laughing at all. So laughter is a sign of like that stepping into power. And so the walls come crumbling down, as in I'm connected, I'm going through this death and resurrection process as it continues to describe. But the walls, I have to go through that death in order to cause the walls to crumble. These attachments to this physical space, which there's nothing wrong with the physical space. We're here to be physical. However, our attachment to it and dependency on everything in the external, as I mentioned with the story of the Tower of Babel, That's what is being referred to here as well. So just tearing down this idea that we are limited or finite or separate or solely physical. And my ears hear the call of my unborn sons, and I know their choices color all I've done. So I see this as kind of like referencing how this time experience, we perceive everything as linear, but it's really all here and now. So, and my ears hear the call of my unborn sons, which is just you in another form, in another timeline that's also happening now, which is sort of hard to wrap around or conceptualize. And I know their choices color all I've done. So their choices, our choices, all choices are intermixed, where we are choosing our own adventure in multiple forms, multiple perspectives, infinite rather. But the choices do color all I've done. So, but I'll explain it all to the watchman's son. So the watchman's son, you could refer to that as Christ, like the watchman being God the Father, and the watchman's son being Christ. I'll explain it all to the watchman's son. I never lived a year better spent in love. So again, coming to this realization that it's not all about this external stuff and status and whatever, this false idea that I can build an external path to heaven, or that's going to bring me some happiness. But we come back to love. I never lived a year better spent in love when we realize this, because I know my weakness, know my voice, and I'll believe in grace and choice. So that humility to acknowledge our weakness, the strength we find in our voice, and I'll believe in grace and choice. So this unending, unparalleled goodness that reigns supreme under all of this creation, I'll believe in grace, that goodness, and choice, the free will within that. We can step away from that goodness as much as we want to, and it gets darker and more dismal every step we go, but we have the choice to do so. And I know perhaps my heart is farce, but I'll be born without a mask. So I know perhaps my heart is farce. I know that, we acknowledge what we've done and how we've stepped away, and it's all with great purpose. So there's no need to be ashamed or guilty because of that. It's not to punish or anything, but I know perhaps my heart is farce. So we've gone through the sinful route, but I'll be reborn, really. I'll be born without a mask. So when we go through that death, we come back without the mask, without the identity, without the character. Not that we can't have it, and not that there's not a purpose of having this identity and this character and all of that, but just the attachment to it, the dependency on that versus this perpetual changing creation. So the ego is always trying to get us to lock into something stationary and stable and then grow really attached to it, try and sink it down quick. And it does that. And it's supposed to do that because that's what gives us such a vibrant experience, so that we're not just completely ungrounded and completely, uncaring as to what happens. But of course, the imbalance of that goes too far, and the attachment being afraid to make any change. So I'll be reborn without a mask, ready to step into that Christed path. And this is not just a one and done process. This is continuous. Like the city that nurtured my greed and my pride, I stretch my arms into the sky. So like the city, or, Babylon or Babel or whatever, these cities that nurtured my greed and my pride. So acknowledging the place I'm coming from within the fall, I stretch my arms into the sky and create that Y, reaching my hands up as the Christ to receive. So I'm in that receiving mode. I'm surrendering. I cry, Babel, Babel, look at me now. Then the walls of my town, they come crumbling down. So this declaration, this powerful declaration, back to the right side, back to the righteousness, back to the Christed path. The walls of my town within me come crumbling down as I receive this divine inspiration. You ask, where would we stand in the winds that will howl as all we see will slip into the cloud? So the sort of, you can even say like apocalyptic, which apocalypse just means revealing, but you ask, where will we stand in the winds that will howl as all we see will slip into the cloud. So as everything in this physical experience can shift, and it is perpetually changing. So the only thing that is constant is change. And so and the Christ is always beckoning us to stay grounded in the change, which is very challenging to do. It's not easy to do that all the time, but that's the only place where you will find stability, is in the change, is in the knowing that it is a goodly, godly creation, a goodly, godly experience, that benevolence and love is in the wiring, in the code for how this all works. And whatever happens, whatever manifests in the external, whatever we're exposed to will change. And it's not to become attached to, just to be ready for that all we see to slip into the cloud. So come down from your mountain and stand where we've been. You know our breath is weak and our body thin. So sort of asking, maybe asking God for that, or Christ for that judgment day to come, so the shift can happen and the meek can inherit the earth, and the wicked ones will have their just reward, and which is certainly coming. It's already here in many ways. Press my nose up to the glass around your heart. I should have known I was weaker from the start. You'll build your walls, and I will play my bloody part to tear them down. So I see this as kind of like sung from the perspective of Christ. So press my nose up to the glass around your heart. So Christ is looking in our experience and urging us to tear these walls down, so that we can receive this full connection and we're not feeling this separated sense. But you'll build your walls, and I will play my bloody part. And I should have known I was weaker from the start. Maybe that's referring to the fact that, even Christ cannot go against free will. So we are truly bound to our choices. Maybe that's what it's referring to there. I'm not quite sure. But I will play my bloody part, and could be bloody as in like the crucifixion and all this, the consistent focus on his death, which is religious distortion, but that might be what it's referring to here, to tear them down, to tear those walls down, as the Christ, as I mentioned, beckons us to do that. And then it repeats here, because I know my weakness, know my voice, and I'll believe in grace and choice. And I know perhaps my heart is farce, but I'll be born without a mask. And yeah, so just a powerful song about death and rebirth, and stepping away from Babel or Babylon, or any of these false construct creations of man, and stepping back into divinity. So yeah, that's that song, Babel. Really good one to get some pep in your step. And then the next one was I Will Wait. So, well, I came home like a stone, and I fell heavy into your arms. These days of dust which we've known will blow away with this new sun. So this song I see as another love song to Christ, and it's just acknowledging that the time might not be right for that full revelation. We're in it, we're shifting in it, but as we know, there are still some big pieces to move and still some big shifts to go. And that's all Christ-led movement, because this is these days of dust which we've known, as in this period of darkness, will blow away with this new sun. So I've mentioned before, but if you take a look at this from a very large perspective, from the roughly 25,000 years cyclical way that this creation seems to run off of, at least at that level, it shows the We can look at it from a yearly perspective, from the 4 seasons, or we can look at it from a dualistic perspective, night and day. And so in that 25,000 year cycle, we have been in the roughly 12,500 years of darkness, of night. So these days of dust would be that time, this cycle. But that is going to blow away with this new sun. SUNSON, as the Christ returns, the return of the King. And the King is you. The King is you, realizing that you were king all along. That's the return of the King. So all of these days of dust will blow away with this new sun. But he's not acknowledging we're not quite there yet. But I'll kneel down, wait for now. And I'll kneel down, know my ground. So in preparation for that, and as we've talked about before, but just knowing the level of patience that those who have been aware of this kind of stuff for their whole lives, and some going and literally living their whole lives, living and dying, knowing that this shift was coming, knowing that all the work was going towards this, and knowing that it wasn't quite right time. This is something that cannot be forced. It cannot be done too hastily. So I'll kneel down, wait for now. I'll kneel down, know my ground, and I will wait. I will wait for you. So singing to the Christ, wait for that return. And we do have to be careful, like not to fall into a sense of complacency in this idea of waiting. However, it's also, like everything, balance is key. We also don't want to be too hasty in trying to force things when it's not ready yet. There is a cycle, and this cyclical nature of this experience, we can either get in alignment with and thrive, or we can fight against and suffer. We can either swim with the currents, we can float down the river, or we can be constantly trying to fight and swim upstream. One is much more tiring and painful. One is much easier and freeing. So, so that's acknowledging that. So I will wait for you. So break my step and relent. So break my steps, as in have me pause and become still and relent. So have me surrender. Well, you forgave, and I won't forget. So we've been forgiven for all that we've done. Always, we only have to forgive ourselves, really, is the key to that. So you have to forgive you for not only the things that you've done, but the things that we have done, because it's all you anyway. So we have to forgive, but we won't forget that, because it's important that we remember what we have done and what we have been through and what we have created, so that we don't do this quite this way again. We don't have to fall this far if we don't want to. But as I mentioned, in that cycle, we have, 12,000 some odd years of daytime. And this will be the times where everything within creation is augmenting that light and the goodness, and everything is wonderful. Everything is geared in that way. And we will, just as the seasons go, and you have summer and you have spring and summer, and then you as fall approaches, the harvest, you prepare for winter. And so that will be up to us, is how much do we remember these stories, and how much do we want to really make sure that we don't fall into this again. It's like, hey, do you remember that time where we got so dark and nasty that we turned into vampires and started drinking blood of people? Like, yeah, that was pretty disgusting. Maybe we shouldn't do that again. Maybe we should, just be honest with each other and not be so deceitful and hateful. And, but it happens. Like, it's not like it's this sudden flip where people automatically just turn evil. It's this sudden, it's not a sudden, it's a gradual degradation of us, where we find it less important to stay connected and be kind to each other. And we start to feel separate. Disconnection is everything that causes the the conditions for that, for evil to manifest. So if we stay connected, then we don't have to go through that again. And I certainly hope we do. So know what we've seen, and him with less. Now in some ways shake the excess. So know what we've seen, and him with less. So him being the Christ with nothing except for just that divine inspiration. Now in some ways shake the excess. So all the attachments, all the things that are holding us back. And then it goes into the chorus. I will wait for you, the Christ. Now I'll be bold as well as strong, and use my head alongside my heart. So tame my flesh and fix my eyes, a tethered mind freed from the lies. And what a beautiful, just line here. Just coming back to self and acknowledging that Christ within, and preparing oneself. Even if the external circumstances aren't quite ready to shift, we always have the option to. We always have the option, and by us doing that, boldly stepping out, even when it's not easy and the conditions are kind of designed against it, it helps to manifest that externally in a much more smooth and faster way. So I'll be bold as well as strong, and use my head alongside my heart. So tame my flesh, the temptations of the flesh, and fix my eyes. Fix my eyes as in don't have your eyes constantly wandering, your sensations always leading you wherever you go. The bodily sensations they come after, they come after that sense of self and awareness and being. If we allow the sensations to control what we do, then we'll be steered into all sorts of hellish directions, as we have. So a tethered mind freed from the lies. So a tethered mind is in a mind not running rampant with the ego in control. So a tethered mind is in control. We have to be Jacob wrestling our ego in a place called pineal. So a tethered mind freed from the lies, the distortions, all this nonsense that we've been in. And then it repeats again. I'll kneel down, raise my hands, paint my spirit gold. So again, with the raising the hands, the why, the Christ, paint my spirit gold is in this God gold, that this higher gold being sun manifests physically. And so it's just staying upward, looking up. Paint my spirit gold, keep my head up, and bow my head, keep my heart slow. So bow my head is in penitence, in humility, to receive that divine inspiration, and keep my heart slow, as in our heart beats when we are, when we're afraid, our heart beats fast. And when we are pursuing temptations of the flesh, our heart beats very fast. So keep my heart slow, as in keep me here, keep me aware. And then it repeats again, because I will wait for you. So yeah, that was I Will Wait in Babel by Mumford and Sons. Thanks for hearing me out, and glad I could share those again. The reason other than just that they're one of my favorite bands for sure, but that's why this show is happening today instead of on Thursday, because tomorrow I'm traveling, and I was offered tickets to go see them. So huge thanks to Jill. She's an angel, and she wanted to take myself, and then also Darth and Joanna's two oldest children, who have never been to a concert before, and they're going to get to go see this one, which should be magnificent. I've seen them a couple times, and they've only gotten bigger since then, so I can only imagine how epic this is going to be. So anyway, just wanted to share a little bit more with you guys, because I have not found a song that does not have powerful reference to the Christ, and this love song to and from Christ, to and from God, and just this process, this continually evolving process that we find ourselves in. So yeah, again, welcome to the show today. This is the Quest-i-on, the quest to illuminate the single eye, the quest I am on, where we come together and we ask questions. And not that anybody has any particular answers that are, absolute. I'm happy to help facilitate and help answer in the best way that I've learned. But I do love that there are others who are here on this call that have a lot of wisdom to share as well. So if at any point you find yourself interested in asking a question, or even just posing a scenario or posing an experience that you've had in your life, that's wonderful. And then also, if you find yourself wanting to share on a particular topic, please feel free to chime in as well. This is an open discussion, an open space for us to gather and share. If you're unfamiliar with Telegram, all that means is just simply hit your center button on your screen, and that signals to me that you'd like to speak, and I'll get your mic open and I'll call on you when there's an opportune moment. If your mic is already open, just jump in when there's a quiet moment. Feel free to jump in. If you have a hard time doing that, then just toggle your mic on and off by hitting that button a couple times, and I'll do my best to see it, and I'll call on you when there is an opportunity. So yeah, welcome. Today is, where are we at today? This is Tuesday, June 17th, 2025. And yeah, happy to be here. Happy to be amongst you beautiful souls. Just some announcements. Just want to remind everyone that I am 100% donation supported to do all that I do. And I am so grateful that I have been able to do this for so long in that way. But just want to continue reminding of that. I can do a lot with a very little, and I've gotten very good at that. And I but just want to keep putting that out there because, I'm looking for other ways to supplement and have more flexibility, so that, because I just imagine, like, what if I could hire somebody to take care of some of these things that, as far as like putting content together, or even, if you didn't get a chance to see the video that Joanna MB just recently reposted. She had posted this back in January, but it was a clip of myself, and it was just talking about why it had to be done this way, why this movie and this plan had to be orchestrated to this extent. And she reshared it from another post that I had made, and it's very timely because we are certainly in the midst of things getting wilder and crazier. And on one hand, we kind of want it to speed up and be done with, and on the other hand, it's like kind of daunting and scary especially for those who aren't ready for it. So it's quite an intense thing. And so I really appreciated her resharing that, which I really always appreciate her wonderful work and what she does. She's made quite a few videos like that. So definitely check out her channel, Passion for Fruit. She also, just to, praise Joanna MB some more, she's the one who puts together the Spotify playlist of all the songs that I've shared in this show. So you can always find that on my website post. So just to finish with the contributions, this is my contribution page. You can find everything there. But then on the post, you can find her I add the link to the Spotify playlist. There's a YouTube playlist that I put together, and then there's a Spotify playlist that Joanna MB put together, and she's very consistent in adding those songs to that playlist. And I have thoroughly enjoyed listening to that playlist many times. So huge thanks for her work. But all to say is that, imagine if I could hire somebody like Joanna or somebody like that to work and dedicate, part-time or full-time to doing stuff like this. Imagine what we could do in that capacity, because I just don't have the time to do everything. I do about as much as I can. So anyway, those are just some thoughts to throw out there as far as contributions go. But at the same time, I know know money's tight, and I know everyone's sort of feeling it in various ways. So I get that as well. So we'll make do with whatever we need to, but I do appreciate any help or consideration there. I am also continually helping Bali and the orphans over in Uganda as well. So that's, pretty consistent with the needs. I mean, it is, it's challenging because like I said, I don't have any other income, and they do have consistent needs, and I know their needs are legitimate, but we're trying to work with him to expand out into more audiences and more spaces of getting other people to maybe support and chip in, so that the burden is not so great on any one individual or any one group. But that said, it's still there. They do still have consistent needs on a monthly basis for food and whatnot. So if you want to help out with that, you can certainly send any which way that you can send to me, and just include a note that you'd like it to go towards Bali, or you can give specifically to this Gifts and Go, which is set up just for that. So yeah, I just wanted to mention that as well. And yeah, I think that's about it as far as announcements today. So we'll just jump right into the show, and we'll see if somebody has a topic that they want to start us off with. Anything in particular that stands out to you, a question that's come up, or an experience you've had, or really anything is on the table. There's nothing that's off limits in these shows, which I do quite enjoy, because it's all connected. Everything is connected. So whatever which way we go, we're always here. So yeah, I'll pass it off and see if anybody feels like jumping in. All right. Well, just to kind of go over, I guess, more current events. I tune in and poke around at what's going on. Not every day, but I do like to check in and see what. Just to mention, I don't know this channel personally or anything, but I do just want to mention that my favorite place for getting unbiased, like just no BS news updates, or at least whatever is mainstream, is disclose.tv. So they have a Telegram channel, they have a website, and they post on X as well. I follow them on Telegram, and that's usually, if I'm looking for what's going on, that's the place I'll go to. Between that and the Q News Patriot, I'll go there sometimes, which is SG-Anon. He's got good stuff as well. But just to mention those, as if somebody's looking for just a simple channel to follow that has the news highlights, and that's it. Disclose.tv is a good one. But yeah, so I've been keeping up with it a little bit, and of course there was a lot of excitement this weekend with the military parade, and Trump's as we've been told publicly, his birthday. And so that was all on Saturday, and then there was the No Kings protest planned across the world, kind of in response to that. And so that was sort of interesting to witness and see. Just the it is interesting to watch videos, because of course these riots and protests and things, it's one thing, protests are one thing, and there's never really any issue there. But when they turn violent and start destroying property and hurting people and all that, it does get quite a bit messier. But I really loved Trump's response to the No Kings protest. I mean, he's so funny. I wish I could find exactly what he said. But essentially saying that, there was all these No Kings protests, and he was grateful because he thought there was a king coming to try and take over the presidency. But he said, y'all did a good job because I'm still your president. So just taking the humorous route and just saying it like that. He is so funny. He is so funny what he describes. And, you know, it's interesting to watch for sure, because you do kind of have to laugh at it, because otherwise it just gets, it can get heavy really quickly, especially with people who are just so hell-bent on this hatred and venom and anger, and it's you know, of course you've got some media outlets that are just fanning the flames, but really it's like it takes a mind of its own, especially when it gets into the social media space, and just how angry people get about what he's doing, and come up with all of these ways to describe it, and how he's, you know, how he's Hitler, and how he's all these horrible things, which of course Hitler's not a horrible thing, but the way they describe it, they intend that. And just to point it out that like he's this horrible dictator that's destroying the world, and yet all he's doing is helping on paper and every which other way. There's not really any horrible things that are happening. Now people do focus on the ICE raids and the deportations, which, you know, it's unfortunate that it got this way, and it's unfortunate that people, you know, it's just hard to imagine somebody rationalizing, oh, let me go smuggle myself into a country illegally and then expect there to be no repercussions, and then when there are, get upset about it as if that can't happen. So it's an unfortunate scenario, because obviously the people usually do, most of the time, come into this country because they're fleeing something else. You know, they're trying to get away from circumstances within their own space, or get to better environments or whatever. But then that, and the sort of larger evil plan was to use that to have nefarious people infiltrate and cause destruction within, and even be prepared for this sort of violent outbreak, which was going to turn into a much more devastating and violent sort of war approach, if the evil plan had been allowed to go its way. Because if you have, you know, a large percentage of fighting age male immigrants, illegal immigrants coming in, and they're all given marching orders that when you see the sign to start, get to the whatever weapons cache or whatever, and cause as much damage as you possibly can, that's pretty debilitating within a country to have that happen. And that was the plan. Was to have all of these people ready to go, and then when the switch was flipped, they were going to hurt as many people as they could, and destabilize and lead to an external takeover, or whatever the sort of evil plan was, to destroy this country and take over the world. But of course that's not happening. So what we're seeing is simply the watered down approach, or the watered down result of that plan. So as I mentioned last week, and kind of as that short video described, we're seeing what the evil plan was. We're seeing the effects of it. However, the most devastating parts of it have been neutralized. So it's this fine balance that they're playing to sort of diminish the physical violence as much as possible, while still making it seem as big as possible. So videos are embellished and things are shared in a wide way, and it just seems a lot more intense than it likely really is. But all of that's just to show us, like, here's what was going to happen if we didn't stop it. This was the plan. This is how we were going to fall. You can't tell the people, you must show them. So that's that layer of the story, or the movie that's playing out. And then of course you have the Israel Iran stuff that's going on, and that, I would say, even more so is fabricated, because if you have both sides playing this out, then you can come up with a lot of creative ways to make fireworks shows look insanely real and post videos that maybe are older or from something else. You can have buildings that you are empty, that you demo, that, you know, got quote unquote hit by a missile strike, and then they claim all these casualties and stuff like that. So the appearance is quite intense. It seems very real, and it's supposed to seem very real, because that was another part of the evil plan, was to have Israel be this, you know, essentially bully in the Middle East, continuously poking at all these different countries. And then, and then you have the ammunition for World War III to kick off, which is just has been another disguise to increase further takedown and cause more problems. So yeah, that's largely all that was the plan and is happening to some degree, but it's mostly just fabricated, and that we need to just see it. We need to see the effects of this kind of stuff happening so that we realize just what we were falling into, and we learn to not do this again. That's really the biggest thing, is like we learn, like, hey, I don't want to go through that. I don't want to fall into this level of slothfulness and complacency where I'm just allowing evil people to take over and do horrible things. So that's why we have to learn this is what it feels like if evil people do get in charge to some degree. And it would have been a whole lot worse. It would have been, yeah. I mean, it's not even a fun mental chain to go down of how disgusting and horrible it could have been if it had gotten to that point. So yeah, that's kind of some stuff that's been happening, as I'm sure most of you are aware. I see that Carrie had raised his hand, and I'll go ahead and pass it off to you and see if you have something you want to chime in with. Yeah, I see your mic open, but I don't hear it.
Can you hear me okay?
Oh yeah, now we can. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, sorry, I have nothing prepared to say. I just kind of joined, and I just haven't noticed you. I haven't been much online, Telegram, been focusing on other stuff, and, and yeah, thank you for giving me space to speak. Yeah, I've been recalibrating and kind of, searching for myself, I guess, because I'm kind of not sure who I am anymore. So, you're recording. Okay. Didn't realize that. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I've been analyzing for years about the geopolitical situation and all kind of stuff, but like this year I came up with simple values, simple principles of what I accept, what I don't accept, I mean, not accepting war, of course. That's the main principle. But yeah, I've been kind of like, I guess, waging wars, spiritually. And that has contributed into all kind of stuff. And yeah, but I don't want to talk too much because I really am not prepared to say anything. I'm just happy to be here, happy to talk to you, and you asked with my name, so thank you, Justin.
Yeah, you're so welcome. Yeah, I just saw your hand was raised, and but maybe hit that by accident. But either way, I'm glad that you spoke up, and yeah, you mentioned this process of, I forget the exact words you said, but the process of uh, basically tearing down all that we knew and then rebuilding from there. This sort of death and resurrection process, or the phoenix burning up and rising again from the ashes. And that's a process that if we grow used to and almost get excited for those opportunities, it makes it so much more fluid to move through, when we are just ready for, okay, that the divine is bringing me a reset, because I need to shift some things. And so I've got to reevaluate where I am and what I've built, and acknowledge, if to use biblical parables, to acknowledge when I've been building my house on sand, and so the storm comes away and it washes it all away, and that's okay, because that's going to give me the opportunity to rebuild it on that solid rock. And it's all kind of relative too, because as we grow in awareness, then what we thought of as solid rock might not be as solid as we thought, as we learn and grow, and then we realize, oh no, that wasn't quite as solid again, so let me redo it, let me build it up again. And if that process becomes as if we grow as comfortable breathing, then it's a wonderful, continually evolving process, and that's the name of the game. That's how we continue to step into that. So anyway, I thank you for mentioning that, because it just reminded me of that.
You're welcome. I just wanted to say something quickly. I don't know if it's right or wrong what I did, but I went into this spiritual journey this year, like February especially, this year. And, I don't know exactly how it happened, but or why it happened. But I wanted to take them to my shoulders, as a human being. I wanted to take everything on me, meaning I wanted to face the devil, and I did that. I met him, many times, the time, February, March. And I felt this power, like this power to be born. Well, I'm just going to be honest, right? And I've been sharing this in Telegram in different groups, so this is not a secret. So I wanted to defeat him myself as a human being, which is it's a really, really crazy thing to do, to try to do. And I thought I was doing it, I had these conversations, like lots of conversations with different kind of people that I thought was him in these months, February, March, I would say. But I was doing it without Jesus Christ, or maybe I was, I'm not sure. But then later, like later in the spring, then I started really tuning into Jesus Christ and accepting the Holy Spirit and trusting Jesus. And then things went even very strange. And then, like all these kind of like attacks came in, and I wasn't ready for it. I wasn't ready at all. And now I can say that I stopped reading the Bible in the last weeks. I feel like I'm not good enough to read the Bible, because I love reading it out loud. I'm still reading the John 1, book of John. And yeah, I have all kind of health problems now, and when we have health problems, then it sidetracks us. It gets us off focus, and I know Jesus Christ is the way. And not giving up ever. What I'm just trying to say is that I feel like that the devil knows my power, and your power, and every one of us power. We all part of the family of God, and we are going through different challenges, and I'm never backing down. But right now I'm just struggling to read Bible and praying, and just feels bad. Doesn't feel right to just want to do God's will, and it's just very difficult. That's what I want to say, really. That's really what I want to say. Thank you so much for giving me space to express that. I'm definitely troubled. Definitely.
Well, I appreciate you sharing that. And yeah, I mean, this is the sort of experience that we all go through, and we will go through. It's the sort of unending cycle of falling in and out of love with God, which is really falling in and out of love with love. And so what helps me is just remembering that the devil and Christ and all in between, because they mark the spectrum. They mark both ends of the spectrum of consciousness. Christ on one end, Satan on the other. And it's all you. You represent that full spectrum. And so when we fall into the patterns of doubt, or and I don't think there's anything wrong with stepping away from the Bible if it doesn't feel right, or even like the ways that we pray, because perhaps you're being invited to explore it from a different angle, or perhaps you're being invited to step away from it for some time so that you can see it again with new eyes. I don't know if you saw the series that Darth and I did on the Gospel of Thomas. Highly recommend it for anyone who hasn't listened to that. It was amazing. Like, we did 7 episodes for this 114 passage, very short book, but it's so deep, it's so dense, and the words are so powerful. These Christic teachings, likely one of, if not the oldest and best preserved teachings straight out of Yeshua. So you can hear it from him and describing that. But part of it, one thing that he did was he took Thomas aside, because Thomas got it. He asked the disciples if how they would describe him, and each of the disciples said something, and Thomas told him, I don't know how I would describe you. Like, you're beyond description. And in that moment, Christ knew that Thomas got it, and he pulled Thomas aside and he told him 3 words, and these 3 words he did not repeat. So I don't know exactly what he said, but I'm pretty certain what he said. And it was something to the effect of, I am you. You are me. There is no you, there is no I. I mean, other than for the experience. So that powerful realization that we are all here as a part of this spectrum between those 2 ends, and we have the choice of who we operate with. So fighting the devil, I mean, there is, I don't want to, there's very much a time where that devilish side of ourselves does need to be fought. When we're facing some sort of choice where we can cause harm, then yeah, we need to fight the devil right in that moment to stop that choice from causing harm. If we give in, then the devil wins, and the devil's you, but that side of you, and when I say you, I don't mean just you, I'm talking general you, is that's what allows that those devilish acts to come into and manifest in this physical creation. We act as a portal for the devil to move through and commit those wicked acts, which in and of itself is not outside of God's creation, because God's creation has free will, and for us to experience the full spectrum of that, including being wicked if we so choose. But it doesn't mean that we escape the consequences of that, and we certainly face that. So to fight the devil would be resisting those temptations to allow those choices to come through and flow through us. I love how Darth brought this up however long ago, but he said that you are always possessed. Everyone is always possessed. There's no one that's beyond possession. Everyone is possessed, and you're either possessed by the devil or you're possessed by Christ. Most people flip back and forth between those two quite quickly and many times throughout a day. Most people are not solely possessed by the devil, and most people are not solely possessed by Christ. But you'd start to see that spectrum unfold in the full look at the population. There's, the 1% or the 1% of the 1% that are quite evil, and they're like the best portals for that devil being the evil, the evil to come through. So they act as the conduit for that evil to flow through and manifest into this creation. Literally, like, I've mentioned my fascination with video games and having played many, but there are several games where you have to deal with portals of hell and demons spawning into a space. Not taking that literally, but just knowing that when we act as that devilish conduit, then we are acting as a portal for demons to come into the space, which are not monsters in that way with like fangs and horns and all of that, but they're wicked acts. Their behavior that causes harm. Those are the demons, the thought forms that create all of that. And so let me just finish, Carrie, and then I'll let you jump in. So then on the opposite end of the spectrum, we can also be possessed by Christ. We can be possessed by that righteousness and that goodness that can possess us and flow through us. And then we can be a portal, a conduit for those good acts, the good thoughts, the good things to manifest into this space. So the choice is ours in each and every moment. And like I said, many people are, and myself included, I'm not perfect all the time. So in those times where I fall, for however brief and hopefully very brief, if we're really committed to this path, I can acknowledge, okay, in that moment, I channeled in something that was not very kind. It was not aligned with that goodness. So I was channeling in the other, the anti. So let me come back to channeling only that which is good, only the Christ. And it's very challenging. It's hard to maintain that, but that's the experience that we're having. So yeah, I'll let you jump in if you want to say something on that.
Yeah, I'm something just clarified in me. I don't know why now. It's super crystal clear right now. First of all, I didn't plan joining this chat. It just kind of happened. I just saw it was online. And because I haven't been thinking about this for maybe 2 months more. But now it's crystal clear somehow. I don't know why. Maybe because I'm speaking with you. I I have these multiple experiences. At least 3 in February, March this year. And what came clear to me, it was a real life experience. It wasn't a dream, it wasn't visual, it wasn't anything like that. It was real life. Here in Europe. And what became crystal, I don't think it was clear to me before back then, in February, March, but now in June, today, now, I could be right or wrong, like I'm not a prophet or something. I'm just saying what I receive, wherever it's coming from. It's like collective from the experiences I had, but now it's more like crystal clear. And I really could be horribly wrong, but for me, it's the truth. For me. Like we are in the end times. Everybody knows that, right? And every time I've seen the devil or the Lucifer or whatever evil one, let's call it the devil, he's always afraid. In front of me, he's always afraid. He's not powerful. He's not scary. He's just scared. He's scared of being locked away. Locked away. I have very physical experience with him, there's been multiple of them, at least 2. There's been more, but I can definitely say 2 different persons, humans. One I met once, one I met twice. I was never afraid of him. He was afraid of me, whoever I am. I don't know. I have no idea. I know I'm with God and Jesus, so that's what I am. Trying to get to my point. He was always so afraid. It's confused me because I thought he's so powerful. In the Bible it says he's the prince of the world. He can make anything happen. He can give anything to anyone as long as they sign with him in blood. Well, I never did. Yeah, what I wanted to actually say, now I remember it, is this important piece is that he wants to go to hell. It's not that he is fighting against it. He knows it's his destiny. And really, I'm not a prophet. I don't know if this is right or wrong. I know nothing, okay? I'm just saying what I received, what I experienced, because I met the guy multiple times. It's like he wants to go to hell. I even sent him to hell, words, 10 times. One time, in February. I said the words. He did something to me, and I tell if he doesn't reverse it, I'm going to send him to hell. Who I am to send him to hell, don't ask me. I don't know. It just happened. Just was a spur of the moment, I think the devil is committing suicide. That's what I feel what's happening. I think that's why everything is happening in the world. The devil, in the prophecy it says that there will be things happening. But I feel, and I really could be horribly wrong, I feel like devil is committing suicide, in the coming years. I think he's tired. I think he's tired. I think he lost himself. I don't feel sorry for him. But I with these experiences I had, face to face experience, these are not dreams. He's just tired. He just wants to go away. And like his girlfriend took a picture of me, and that was the reason I sent him to hell. Whether I have a jurisdiction for that or not, I don't know. But it just happened, And he accepted that. He said in his own words, whether he was devil or not, how can I give you proof if it was devil or him or someone else? I didn't address him as a devil, didn't call him by his name. Just knew. It just knew. It was just crystal clear. And he accepted to go to hell. Actually, he was happy to do it. So, I've been sharing this in February, March, in different Telegram groups. Other people are wondering what's going on. They never heard of anything like this. But I felt that I must share this, whether I'm right or wrong. Because I don't know, how can I keep it to myself? It's very powerful. So that's what I want to share. When I look at the world, I watch world news and I, look at the geopolitical situation and all of that. And I see everyone is scared of what's about to come, the book of Revelation, all of that. And everyone's like, what is this, what is that? Everybody has theories. But in my experience, we know who is going to be the winner. That's God. But unfortunately, we have to experience this stuff. I don't know if there's going to be a relief. If we're going to be saved before the worst times. I don't know. I don't know that. But what I want to say, because I know this is becoming a long monologue, is that I'm not scared. I'm only scared that I'm feeling lost these last months. Because I just want to be with God and Jesus Christ. And the devil is really good at distracting with thoughts and actions. Very good at not focusing on the path. And I don't like that. Thank you for letting me share. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah, you're so welcome. Thanks for sharing. And yeah, it's in a lot of ways what you're saying is absolutely happening. However, I would just I like to view things from a more allegorical, symbolic point of view as opposed to physical, literal. And so just to go over a couple of things, like the pact written in blood, or the sign to dedicate oneself to Christ in blood, that's not meant to be like a literal document or anything that you sign. Our blood is our life essence. That's what's running through us to keep us moving and going. So our blood is like a symbolic way to represent our life force. So we dedicate ourselves with our blood, as in with everything. You can't serve two masters, as Christ has said. So if we're not serving one, we're inevitably serving the other. So it's a full, wholehearted dedication to Christ as best as we possibly can, in all moments. Of course, forgiving ourselves when we slip and we shift and things happen, but as quickly as possible, re-establishing our connection with the Christ. So that's what I see as far as living in that alignment. And then, as you mentioned, the devil is committing suicide, which it is in a sense, in that, as I mentioned at the beginning of the show, we're shifting out of the dark ages. We're shifting out of night, and during night is when the devil, if we want to refer to it that, which is really just our shadow side, that's when that has more strength and power. That's when it's given its more free reign to roam and to and there's lessons in all of it. It's giving us a contrasting experience so that we learn and grow through that. So there's nothing that ever steps away from God's perfect creation within anything, no matter how much we want to conceptualize the devil doing this or that. It's all there for a purpose. But that purpose, or the time for the quote unquote devil to reign supreme, is coming to an end, is coming to a close. And we're shifting into this age where evil will not have a very strong footing. And it's possible we can eradicate evil altogether, at least for some time. The potential for evil will always exist, but it is possible that we will be able to fully eradicate evil in its manifested form here on earth. It is very possible if we dedicate ourselves to that. And so in that sense, then the devil as an evil is on its way out. It knows its time is short. I see it more as like a handoff in a play. As you're shifting and the character's scene is over, and they bow and they say, and we applaud for the performance and the lessons and whatever the message we get out of it, in order to allow the next character to come in, which this one is the Christ. So for this next era, the Christ will reign supreme. And as I mentioned, we can prepare during this time where Christ is with us to sort of like charge our batteries, if you will. So we can when night comes again, we have our flashlights ready. We've done our homework and we've charged up our batteries so that we can embody that light and maintain it and hold it over for that next period where darkness will come again. Night will fall. Night doesn't have to be a scary thing. It doesn't have to be. Crime is much easier to commit at night. It is committed largely at night because it's easier to do that. But it doesn't mean that just because night is there, crime has to take place. It's just the conditions of crime are much easier at night. So as we shift out of day into night again, we can establish conditions so that crime isn't committed and we're not falling into that dark path all over again. So yeah, again, thanks for sharing that. And it's as I mentioned, it's very very related to what's happening and what we're shifting out of. And so these larger cyclical shifts in consciousness are going to embody and show up in our lives in different ways, and really whatever way we're most comfortable or we're most accustomed to. So if it's using biblical allegory to describe things, or if it's using the Bhagavad Gita and the characters described within, or if it's using whichever text, Spirit is going to use those characters and those symbols and those ways to tell the same story, to get the same message across, but told in different ways with different characters. But it's really all just one. There's only one. So yeah, just to reiterate that, I'm sure, I have no doubt that you had a vision like that, and it did inspire you to share it, and it's what allows this to be such an exciting time as well, because we know that evil, it's on its way out. This is the dog days of summer are over, as Florence and the Machine sings. The age of Aquarius is dawning, because we're shifting out of this darkness and coming into light. And what a beautiful time. What a beautiful time it will be. So yeah, thanks again for sharing. And yeah, I'll just pass it off and see if anybody else wants to jump in with anything, share anything, go over any topics in particular, ask any questions. You are more than welcome. All right. Well, I think I kind of want to share another song of Mumford and Sons. And this one they did because it's very fitting to what we're describing. This one they did with Pharrell Williams. And it's called Good People. So enjoy this song and just note what they're singing about. It's a great song. So enjoy. So yeah, welcome to the revelation. Good people, been down for so long. So yeah, I love that song as well, and it's very very fitting to the current discussion and the current times, and there's no accident that they know exactly what they're talking about in these songs. So yeah, I will see if anybody else wants to jump in on any topic, anything we've discussed, or anything you want to take us. Now is a great time. All right. Well, just to go over those lyrics real quick. And I'm done being in trial. Right now I'm inspired. So inspire, the inward spiral, that spiraling motion coming from the divine. So I'm done being in trial. Right now I'm inspired. I was once underwater and now I'm on fire. So underwater, the baptism of fire, and then moving to the baptism water, moving to the baptism of fire. So cleansing the body, then cleansing the mind. Welcome to the revelation. And I feel in the air that Mother Earth ain't steady. Feel so alive even though times are deadly. How fitting. So while the world around is shaking and quaking and moving and shifting, and it can seem really scary, especially if you're attached to the world all around. And even if you're not, it still can be quite daunting. But when you feel it in your soul, and in my soul, something is stirring now, but I'm not worried. You better get ready to scream now. Because good people been down for so long, and now it's like the sun, SUN, is rising. So the sun, the return of the king, the sun has returned, and that's you. Long wears the night, but you know we've been dreaming. So again, this long process of night that we're shifting out of, but you know we've been dreaming, as in life is but a dream. So we've been kind of falling into it as more of an illusion instead of a vision. So coming back to realizing what we are doing here, the city's getting loud because the mountains are screaming. When you've been through it all and it won't get no worse, the first shall be lost and the last shall be first. So those who have fought and clawed their way to status and whatever, the 4 to 6% lost forever. And the last shall be first. The meek shall inherit the earth. And in my soul, something is stirring now, but I'm not stirring. I think it's stirring now. Something is stirring now, but I'm not worried. You better get ready to see now. And then it repeats. The sun is rising. The SON is rising, and it's rising in you. Christ returning in you. So yeah, that's that song, Good People. Very fitting. And again, I'll just see if anybody else wants to jump in. Any topics, any questions, any thoughts? Feel free. Hey, Tracy, go ahead.
Well, hello, everybody. Hello, Justin. Great music today. Thank you for playing that recent one. That was really good as well. That really hit the spot, like you said, of what's been spoken of and what I'll sort of address Carrie as well. The comment that he made about himself, one stood out to me, was that he doesn't, gosh, I'm not going to get the words exact either, doesn't recognize himself, doesn't know who he is anymore. It was something like that. I don't think that's exactly it, though, where as we're transitioning, through all many layers of not just this process, but there's like so many processes going on of growth, change as we're learning. It's definitely, somebody has engaged in it more at a deeper level. It's going to be more intense than somebody who's just more sort of, on the just starting to, or, slowly stepping into change. Like some people, I don't know, I guess it's going to be a really different process for everybody for sure. But we are all in an accelerated stage, I think, wherever we're all at individually. But for myself, I have felt that same, not necessarily questioning, like I have to know, but feeling, yeah, I don't really recognize myself. Not that I've changed so much. I know I have, but I've gone through a lot of different stuff in the past. I don't want to give it a timeline because we are in a constant state of change as we're growing, aging / evolving. So, you'd like to phrase it, but I definitely have felt that, and not in a scary way. Not that I was sort of looking for answers. Well, who am I? It was just feeling that, wow, I've really shifted away from something and I'm moving to something. And I've spoken of, through other conversations with other people, sort of, there's so much unknown right now, but like I'm okay with that. But there's not, like I'm not trying to look forward, I'm trying to be in the now. Have dealt with stuff that I've mentioned recently, in the past week. Pardon me 1 second. Pardon me. Is I've just moved. So completely unknown surroundings while I'm going through personal changes, physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual, like pretty much at every level. But that moves, moving house, whatever, can can alter things pretty quickly. And it's pretty instantly for me, the switch from a setting where I had been for 2 decades to come into a situation where I have completely no idea where I am and trying to get my bearings, but at the same time feeling overwhelmed with the physical part of it, the physical aspect of the move, whatever, organizing, packing, lifting, moving, removing, getting to the new place and trying to get everything situated and sorted, and everything is discombobulated. It got me feeling very, very discombobulated as well, and feeling really shaky about it. So, luckily I had, very, very good friends I could reach out to and speak to help me feel okay in that imbalance, because there was no snapping fingers and going, okay, yes, I wish I could have been bewitched and wiggled my nose and boom, everything's unpacked, and I know where this is and that is. And so I had to really just like, okay, just let it flow. I was trying to, kind of not typical of me, I can do this at times. I can try to do too much but I do know myself, and sort of mostly the physical aspect of things is what sort of has helped me, because of my physicality sort of issues and pain issues and stuff like that, and injuries and stuff like that. So I'm a little, I won't push myself and overpush, which I have in the past. So it kind of has helped me in that way to gauge sort of not overdoing it. But anyway, so this past week, just being able to be in this new space, getting my bearings of where I'm at, getting a sense of myself again. But this is like a completely new phase of me. So yeah, so I really, really resonate with what Carrie is saying, in so many ways. And so being able to catch up on some rest was really, really crucial to try to get things calmed down a bit with how I felt, like I said, discombobulated. So this past week was there's a typhoon that came through, but it wasn't very bad. But this, where I'm situated now, I'm right on the ground floor of something, whereas before I was quite elevated up on a bluff overlooking a very, very, very scenic area of ocean front, and a very green belt of hills, and not mountains by any means, just foothills and stuff. But anyway, very beautiful, but very, very up and elevated, sort of, up and away from everything. But still, you really did feel the elements. Whereas here, I was able to open up all of my windows, because luckily I have screens, which I've never had before. I've never had screens in any of my houses that I've lived in here, and we paid a shit ton of rent. And none of the places had screens on the fucking windows. Anyway, pardon my language, but just drove me nuts, because wanting to be able to enjoy the fresh air when it was really windy during a storm is something I really like that. Of course, not during the highest point of the typhoon, but that breezy feeling, going through the house, opening up all the, just getting the flow through the house that way. Well, this house I'm at now has windows on both sides of this flat, and it's got very, very large old growth trees that are around it. So I was really I felt like I was right in the storm, but very protected at the same time. So it didn't get too extreme in terms of high winds and stuff like that. It didn't become a Typhoon 8. It was only a Typhoon 3. But the trees were thrashing about out there. But like I said, I left my windows open the whole time, because I don't use air conditioning. It's far too expensive, but as well, I don't like it. But being able to have that, and it was quite loud, because it's, like I said, I'm right in the ground floor, so I'm hearing everything in a different way than I had in my previous places that were always up and elevated. Like I said, I mean, I could look down on stuff, but I wasn't in amongst it. So I've really enjoyed that, just being right in amongst it, and feeling just, even though it's stormy, it's not, ideal weather, but I still went out to my little beach area, took a little break, even though it was a bit windy. It was super overcast and cloudy, spots of rain, stuff like that. It's like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be perfect conditions. Just wanted to break up, because it had been quite a few days of rain and darkness. So, whenever I got kind of a break in the heavier rains, went out there, had a quick swim. It was really lovely. So being able to connect that way has helped me ground through this transition. Because I was reluctant to move. Like I said, I was reluctant to move. I am grateful for where I'm situated right now. So it's been really nice to enjoy that and feeling that nature, literally, and being able to sit and talk to the trees. I mean, they're right there. Like, I can almost touch them. It's just maybe a half foot away from me, touching some of the really long extended branches, but they're so big. These ones, I don't know what kind they are. But anyway, it's really beautiful to be around such old growth, and with the smells that come with the rains here and stuff like that. It's just, it's absolutely beautiful. So just wanted to share that. And thank you for sharing yourself as well, Carrie. As we're going through these kind of experiences, it's hard to explain all the details of stuff, but it's really intense what we're going through. And you just want to sort of, you want to be able to express it. So yeah, we're very grateful to have the space here. And yeah, I'm really grateful that you shared as well. So thank you for that. And yeah, thanks everybody for listening as well. The updates of the Tough Star. Yeah, so love you very much. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks, Tracy. Thanks for sharing. Oh, go ahead, Carrie.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that. Excuse me, it's clearing my throat. I just want to say that I don't know, since I joined this live stream with Justin and all of you, I somehow connected back to this very special, powerful state that I haven't felt for months, and I really hope it's the Holy Spirit. Because the devil is confusing between, oh, this is the Holy Spirit or this is the devil energy. It's just, this crazy thing about it confuses us sometimes. At least for me, confuses this absolute power. When I say absolute power, like if it's with Christ or with devil, it's like putting this cloud, not revealing which one it is, and I cannot say which one it is, but it's this absolute power that I can connect to any leader of the world and do anything with them, however I wish, any moment, any minute. I could just right now connect to any leader of this world who I don't like and do anything with them. So, is that with Christ or is that with devil? I don't know. But whoever is speaking with me is telling I can do whatever this evening. So, I'm a good guy. I'm with Jesus Christ. But somehow, since I joined this live stream, now I can feel this power again. And I can have it for the whole night. And all I want to do with it is good. Because I have my values and principles, I hate war. I hate rape, violence, all of it. I want to eradicate it. But not in a way that, taking people's free will. I think what this world needs right now is stop all the wars and take 3 months of break and to start things over. Because there's all these prophecies. There's all this stuff, and sometimes I feel like the prophecies are being abused to increase wars. Like, oh, there's a prophecy, so there must be war. I don't think that's the case. I think prophecy needs to be fulfilled, but it shouldn't be abused. I think there's a difference between the two. Fulfilling prophecy and abusing prophecy. Have you guys ever heard of anyone saying the words of abusing prophecy? I never heard of that. I think that's what's happening right now. So anyway, that's all I want to say. Thank you.
Yeah, again, thanks for sharing. And as far as having those words, abusing prophecy, I haven't heard it exactly like that, but it's the same as any sort of literal interpretation of something that wasn't meant to be literal. You know, the ways that people interpret the book of Revelation as in taking everything literally, as if it all has to happen exactly like that. And these are describing external circumstances. It's sort of missing the mark in that everything within, well, I won't say every bit of the Bible, but the original intent of the collection that we call the Bible and the ways that these stories are told is supposed to be a map for us to find our way back within ourselves, and recognize that the revelation, the revealing, is us realizing, like looking behind the curtain and realizing that you are there. You know, so to answer your question of who you're speaking with, is it Christ or the devil? Well, it is both, because there really is there's no real separation. There's only an experience. There's only an experience of such. So what we do with that energy is that's where we can allow that's why I stated it as two ends of the spectrum, because we allow that energy to flow through us towards the Christic way, the way of goodness, benevolence, love, or we can divert it to that devilish way where it's devious and destructive, and you know, both paths show themselves with every single decision, everything that we face. And if we want to call it the devil, but this side of ourselves, it does disguise itself. It is the master of deception. So it is going to parade itself as if it is the right way, or if it's the good way, or all of that. And sometimes it's really close. Sometimes it's really hard to tell. And that's where every step of the way, it's with purpose to continually encourage us to refine our discernment, refine our abilities to tell, and to get really good at surrendering. Because when we get tired of trying to figure it out with our minds, surrendering to the benevolence that is everywhere allows it to flow in and show us the way. And of course, this process is, it looks infinite number of ways, and however it shows up within ourselves and what we do with it. But that's generally what happens. And so it just becomes this continued realization when, and that's why the truth is so dangerous for people to realize, that you are no different than Christ or the Antichrist. You are both. We are all both of those things. We all have both of these characteristics. We all are those things. And we chose to create those things. We chose to embody those things. We chose to interact with those things and pretend that they're separate, pretend that they have something outside of us, but really it is just you. So having that knowledge that it's just you, and it's always been you, and it will always be you, the great I am, that's the power that you're talking about, because it's the only power. It's the only power that exists. And it's so then it just becomes a choice of, what do we do with that power? Do we go down the trail of destruction every time? And because every decision creates a whole new timeline. So we've gone down the path of destruction infinite number of ways, infinite number of variables at play to go to that path of destruction. And we've done that, and we will continue to do that. However, where we are now is on that Christic line, staying aligned with that, which is the only path of life and salvation, which is continuation of the experience. The experience has these built-in mechanisms that sort of stop it from getting too cataclysmic and too out of control when we do get destructive. We can go down that path, we can experience what it's like, and it happens. But then every time it's encouraging us to come back to the way, that straight and narrow, which is very challenging to maintain and hold, to keep us on that life path. So you are all of it. You are the full spectrum of choices and everything that comes with that. So with great power comes great responsibility. And that's a big part of what we learn and what's built into this experience as well is that as we learn and grow, the challenges that we face and even these concepts of the devil and whatever else, they're there to make sure that you're ready for the next level to receive that another layer of that power, so that it's not used solely for destruction. Even though it still can be, it's less likely to if we refine ourselves in order to get to that point. That's why it's a pragmatic stepping stone process, bit by bit. Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. I have to say one thing. I think there's one special word, and it's not just a word, it's everything. But it's very encapsulated with this one word, and that's being righteousness. The word is righteousness. You know, when I've been acting from righteousness, everything changes. And when I need to act of righteousness, it's like if I don't do it, when I see crimes in front of my eyes in real life, just like the devil, he was not a vision. He was always real life. It was never a vision. So I'm multiple times. But in terms of righteousness, if I didn't act, maybe in the past I was a coward, weak. But this year, I wasn't. I acted so many times out of righteousness. I think that word righteousness is everything. Because when we act out of righteousness, we act as Christ. We do what Christ would do. If we see a child in trouble and we help, that's being righteous. And I have done it many times this year. And this year, sorry to say, I guess I didn't maybe see it before in the last years. Somehow it was presented to me this year. Somehow maybe I wasn't ready. But this year I have seen horrible things. And I've acted of righteousness. And if I didn't, I could not sleep. That's me. Did I risk my life and my mental health? Yes, of course. Of course. But I can sleep like a baby. I sleep like a baby. And people who do not act, saving children and women and men out of harm's way, and not do the righteous acts, they do not sleep well. I sleep very well because I'm righteous. And I think if you take the whole Bible, analyze it all, I think being righteous is number one. Being faithful to God, being faithful to Jesus Christ, obeying the Ten Commandments, but most of all, being righteous. That's my message. That's what I have experienced, and that changed my life. I will never stop being righteous. If I see a crime, especially with women and children, I will act just like I have this year. I cannot speak of other years. I speak of this year.
Yeah, again, thanks for sharing. And it's so simple, though it can seem very complex, but it is very simple. And that's why Christ said, cast thy net to the right, because it's in every action we're casting our net one direction or another. But if we always cast our net to the right side, that righteous behavior, then that's the conduit, that's the portal, that's the allowance for Christ to flow through us. And then we are the Christ for as long as we can maintain it. And the goal is to keep and maintain that indefinitely, which is challenging, if not impossible. It's very hard to do that consistently, but that's the name of the game. That's what we're here to do, is to have that persona, the Christ, flow through me. And of course I get my, unique characteristics that I have with this avatar and this form and this persona and all of that. And that's okay. But the Christ is going to have the same characteristics, overall. Different little nuances, but overall the same. Righteous is righteous. We know what the right thing to do is. We know what the right thing is in every scenario. Of course, there are, there can be complicated scenarios where things happen, but overall there's a right, and then there's missing the mark, sin, missing the mark. That's all it is. So we make that choice each and every moment. And when we miss that mark, when we sin, when we act without, because that's all sin is. It's not a punishment. It's not anything to inspire guilt or shame. It's just like, oh, I missed it. I threw my bowling ball down the lane, and I got a gutter ball. I'm playing golf. I shanked it far off to the left. I missed it. But we don't give up. You try again. And you're like, okay, I'm going to learn from that quote unquote mistake. It was just not even really a mistake. It's simply just a stepping stone that I needed to learn through so that I could improve my game, so that I could have that ball go straight, have my aim be true. Sometimes I have to miss in order to learn how to aim, and that's okay. So that's where this, whether you want to call it the demiurge or the Antichrist or the devil, or I haven't had a chance to read through the whole article, but I appreciate Beth sharing this article about Wetiko, so a Native American term for the same thing, the mind virus that steers us away from the Christic path. And it's not there to say, oh, we have to eliminate this, or our ego has to be eliminated, or we have to fight it and kill it, and all these things. Recognize what it's doing for us. It's there to teach us. It's teaching us through contrast, so that if we become lazy and complacent and we're just like, I'm here in this experience, and we start to take it for granted, well, something's going to come along and kick our ass and get us to play again, because we're here. So that's all this Wetiko, or the devil, or the ego, or however you want to describe it. It's all names for the same thing. It's there to act as a stimulus, a catalyst, to get you to move, so that not only are we continually aligning to the Christic path, but we're taking full advantage of this creative experience that we're having. We didn't come here to just sit around and loaf and whine and complain and like, we came here to create. We came here to make this place beautiful and glorious, and have fun with it, and to have the story unfold of the hero's journey of us realizing that we're the Christ, which is all this the only story that we ever tell. We're here to tell that story in an infinite number of ways and have so much fun telling it, singing about it. So that energy is there to inspire us to move. It's there to get us into action. It's not a punishment. It's not even really an enemy. It's you. It's you with, like, I don't know. It's like a bit of programming built into the system to inspire change. And we can learn through contrast. We don't have to learn that way. But if you need it, it'll be there. So learning to accept its role, not to fight it or shy away from it or pretend it doesn't exist, acknowledge it for what it is, and even thank it for the opportunity. say, I'm not letting you step in charge any longer because I'm conscious. I'm aware. I'm not being slothful in my approach to this experience. I want to be here. But if we don't, then it fills the place. If we're not in control of our vessel and this point of consciousness that we're steering, then something else is. Something is going to step in. And so that energy will step in some way or another, whether that's through the form of some boss in a job that we hate, demanding that we do this or that, somebody telling us that we need to, some politician demanding this to happen this way, or some, you name it, some nefarious individual who's allowed that mind virus to take over them completely. Well, now you're acting as a conduit for that to spread and go further. That becomes the disease that spreads. So it stops. It stops with me when I say enough. When I say it goes no further. I don't want to play that version any longer. I want to step in fully, wholly, and completely. Go ahead, Carrie.
Yeah. Sorry, was that for me?
Yeah, you were trying to speak up?
Yeah. Actually, I've been channeling here a little bit. I have a very beautiful message. I tried to connect it to now. I feel like our life purpose is to be as Christ as possible, because we're sinners. So we do mistakes, we do sin, we come into fault. But our life goal should be as Christ as possible. Christ is an example, because Christ was perfect. Christ is perfect. We should be as Christ as possible. Like, we should try to achieve as much we can the Christ state of purity, sinlessness, and then live life like that. And the more we can be like Christ, Jesus Christ, the more happy we will be. The more we can give to other people and to the world. Nevertheless, what happens in the world, because we live in this crazy world, right? Like, it is really crazy. But when we are with Christ, when we are with His energy, we are protected with God, with Jesus Christ, and all the angels. We can surrender to that protection and to that Holy Spirit. And nothing can touch us when we truly connect to that. And I haven't experienced that yet, but I can feel it. I can see it. I'm visualizing it right now. Not just for me, for all of us here. I see it. It's beautiful. It's like being in this massive ball energy of light and walking around and talking to people. It's beautiful. I am seeing it right now. I don't know, I guess God gave me a vision or something. So beautiful. I had never seen anything so beautiful in my life. It's real. God is real. And that's what I need to remind myself. I need to remind myself. I think everybody needs to remind themselves. God is real. Jesus Christ is real. Jesus Christ is the truth. And I feel lost. But now, I feel like God is trying to pick me up. Right now. Because He's seeing that that he needs to pick me up. Thank you.
Yeah, again, thank you. And it's very true in that Christ is the energy, the example for us to follow, to be, so that we can channel that energy. And when we do have it, we wear the armor of God. Nothing can touch us. It's like, yeah, again, to use like a video game reference, it's like God mode, you know, using a cheat code and activating yourself where you can't be harmed. It's like Neo when sees the bullets flying towards him. He is the Christ in that moment. Nothing can harm him. No bullets can touch him. No harm can befall his body. And that's the same thing that we all have access to. It is very challenging to counteract the preconceived beliefs that we have about this physical experience. So I'm not advocating for somebody to go walk in front of a bullet or any of those kind of things. But we do have it within us to be able to step into that, to where literally that would happen. Bullets wouldn't even be able to touch us when you step into it. So it can't be a halfway approach. It has to be something where you are embodying it through every bit of you. So that's what it means to wear the full armor of God. And it is that example for us to follow. Not that we are sinners inherently, but we are capable of missing the mark. We are capable of stepping away. And so it's an invitation for us to come back. And just like the Father welcomes the prodigal son home after he has wandered, God is always there, welcoming, ready to embrace us, say, well done, well done, you made it back. And you've got all these experiences to share and for us all to learn through. There's nothing lost. There's nothing lost from a path in that way. But there's such joy when we come back. There's such joy when we reconnect again. Go ahead, Carrie. Did you have more to share?
Oh, yeah. Everything you just said, it just touched me in a very deep level. Like, it's like you talk to me like you know me for 100 years. I don't know how you did that, but you did it. It's like you talk to me like you know me for 100 years. It was everything that I've been experiencing. I don't know. I really don't know how you did that. Honestly, I don't know. But I've experienced this. Dodging bullets. Not literally dodging bullets, but I know what is the state of nothing can touch, nothing can kill. I have experienced it so many times this year. So many times. And I actually really connect with the Neo reference in the Matrix for many, many years, since 2020. I've even met the guy, the actor, in real life, face to face. This year, I won't say where. I met a lot of people. Lots of people this year. And in 2021. I don't know why it's me, but the Matrix movie is more to me than a movie. I met actors, including I guess I said enough. But God is showing me I don't know. I'm scared. I'm scared what he's showing me. All I want to say is that we are powerful. All of us. But we are only powerful when we realize we are powerful. So if you're scared of a sickness or illness, and that's consuming the thoughts and the energy of the whole day, then that's not a state of being fearless, being powerful. Even if someone is dying within weeks, they have the power within their body, within their energy, with God, to restore themselves within weeks. I should have died a long time ago. You know, like, really. I had a lot of infections and all kind of stuff. I didn't care about them. I shouldn't be alive. I'm 40 now. So what I'm trying to say is that we should all connect with our power, with Jesus Christ, with God, with our inner power, which comes from God and Jesus Christ. And when we truly connect to that, with our brain and our heart, we can cure any illness that we have. Any mental illness. Trust me, I know what mental illness is. I struggle a lot with depression and all kind of stuff, you know. They can do anything. That's what I want everybody here, 18 people here, I want everyone to know. We can do anything. As long as we're with God and Jesus Christ. We can do anything. And when we feel that, then also people come to us and they tell us, hey, maybe you should take this supplement or this vitamin, or you should do this and this and this and this. When we feel we can heal, people come suddenly, and there's suddenly 5 people giving us the remedies. It's all about the energy. I've seen that. Sorry. Sorry. Justin, please take over.
Yeah, all good, man. It's true. That's the secret that has been attempted to be kept from us, which is like, how do you hide, how do you trick aspects of God? How do you trick gods or God? You know, because there's really no separation. It's all one consciousness, all layers of the same. And now we are a step down form of that. We are not but we kind of are. And so how do you convince that layer that they're not, even though that power is within them? Well, you come up with a very devilish scheme of all of these religious and societal conditioning to constantly lie and tell us these very, very bold-faced lies that we are powerless. And that's how powerful we are, is that if we believe we are powerless, we become that. So that's the only way that we can be knocked off our throne, is if we believe that. If we believe that we are powerless, then that becomes true. And so that's the design of, that's the other way to play this game, the slave game, you know, where you're hell-bent on controlling and manipulating and subjugating and dominating others, which is just really you. So it comes from you have to have a foundation of ignorance in order to even play the game in that way. So you're building it off of separation, which isn't actually real, but we are grateful for people who play the game that way, because it provides the contrast and texture for this whole experience to exist. And that's the way to create a slave reality, is if you take that fundamental truth and you hide it and you push it away as far as possible, and you distort it, and anyone who talks about it, you either twist their message or you kill them, or both. And so it's just been this this continuous process of fighting that realization back, because as soon as people do realize, then the jig is up. There is no more anymore, and we step into our birthright, which is where we came from.
I want to say something real quick before I forget. Did Jesus come here to make us weak? Or did Jesus come here to make us strong? I think that's a very important question. Did Jesus come here to say we're weak? Or that we are strong? Has anybody ever asked this question?
Not exactly like that, but similar, yes. So from a religious perspective, they would have you believe that Jesus came to save the weak, that we are worthless and that we can't do anything on our own, and that Jesus has to come and save us, and we're incapable of doing that on our own. That's the religious programming, which is utter nonsense and has nothing to do with what Yeshua actually taught. He taught self-empowerment. He taught to recognize the power that's within each and every one of us, and he taught to stand up against these bullshit systems that try and distort that message. So it's a very clear defining difference between anti-Christic message, aka religious messages and all of the indoctrination and programming, versus the Christic messages, the true teachings of these ascended masters, these souls who came in at these crucial times to give this message of empowerment, stepping into our power. And but that's why those messages had to be twisted and pulled down and distorted and mistranslated and abused in all these different ways, because again, if people actually realized the true message and what was being taught and what was discovered, there wouldn't exist any of these hellish systems as they stand today. So it is the fundamental difference between us stepping into a heaven on earth reality as walking hand in hand with Christ in each and every moment, or manifesting a hellish reality where we deny Christ every which way and encourage the consequences of such behavior as well. So that's the split. That's the difference.
Yeah, I mean, every time I read about Jesus Christ, he's nothing weak. He's strong, and he's rebellious. Like, that's what I feel. I'm exactly like that, not like Jesus, but I can't help myself but to feel rebellious and strong. And I don't understand how Christianity has been turned into this slavery. I cannot explain it. Somebody wiser than me, please explain. I don't understand how Christianity has made people weak. I don't understand it. Like, I can never be that. But I see people around me being weak. So, let someone wiser to speak, please.
Well, I'm not claiming anything other than just to see that question clearly, in the sense that, again, as I mentioned, how do you convince powerful aspects of God? How do you convince them that they're not that? Well, you have to lie about anything and everything, and put this distorted narrative out there in the form of religion, and even science being another religion that popped up, and that, if you don't want to do the religious version of the story, that you're worthless, then how about believing us when we tell you that you're just evolved monkeys? You're just bacteria that evolved over time, and you're just some random happenstance, and there's no such thing as God, and you're just on some infinite fragment tucked away at the corner of the universe, and you could be wiped out at any moment. And so that's another narrative to go down, all telling the same thing. So all of this is just describing ways to keep slaves. So there's no way to actually make God a slave unless you convince God to be a slave. So we willingly sign up for this slavery mindset by believing these lies. And of course, you know, there's lots of ignorance and it's challenging. And of course, I'm not saying like we consciously chose it. We unconsciously fell into this, and then we consciously did it to ourselves to some degree. And here we are. But that's how we got here, was through that initial distortion. And all of that stems from just this belief that there is such a thing as separation in any capacity other than just for the experience. And so when we start to believe in hierarchy, we start to believe in, a savior, and that we're not worthy, and that somebody else is better than me, or these experts know this, or these high priests know this, and they're the only ones that can talk to God, or they're the only ones who have the information. Then we start to believe these narratives that we are powerless and we are incapable. We have to have handouts from either governments or religions or whatever. And then it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. It just continues in that way. So
yeah. I mean, it's actually, when we come into the conclusion of things, it's how the world control works. Controlling of the world is divide and conquer. Put people into different definitions and different camps, race, country, religion, etc. And, divide them between, divide and conquer, right? And of course, keep them entertained with the television, with the music industry. I mean, movies, TV series, music industry, it's like in the Roman times, give them some entertainment, keep them occupied. And in this, 21st century, I mean, I'm telling you, just the basic stuff, really. But I think it's good to remind that what is the biggest commodity is attention. Because right now, they want our attention in social media and all this other bullshit. They keep us occupied with our attention to these things. That's why I quit all my social media and I quit a lot of stuff. So I don't give my attention. But a lot of people do that. At least majority of them, probably 80% plus. And when I play these scenarios in my head about the next 5 years, 10 years, it's just getting worse and worse, People are it's all about perception and what they focus on. And what they're trying to destroy is people are capable of watching something for 5 seconds. And then they scroll down, TikTok, and there's another one. People are becoming these electronic zombies. And then this summer, I heard they're releasing robots in the world to help people. So we're going to get these butlers and AI girlfriends and all this crazy stuff. It's going to get real crazy, and the war is going to continue. And none of this is real. This is not real. This is happening, sure. But in reality, what Justin is talking about, this is reality. But there is not many people like Justin talking. And that's very unfortunate. But I'm never giving up. I'm always going to be listening with Justin, people like Justin. But I'm just saying, we're heading towards destruction, and it's not the destruction of the world, of the earth. The earth will always survive. It's the destruction of human souls. That's what they want to do. They're harvesting human energy, and they want to destroy human souls. And they can never have mine, and I'm sure they can never have Justin's. Thank you.
Well, thanks for the kindness. And yeah, I have no doubt that there will be many who start to sing and say and spread these messages far and wide. And there have been many. It's just been a little bit more covert and under the radar, given the nature of what happens if we start speaking about these things too openly. But I am very happy to be a canary in the coal mine, if you will, in that if these evil forces were still at their, if they were still in charge, if they were still in power, I likely would not be alive to be talking about these things, just given the pattern that has existed previously, and what happened to people who did speak about these things too openly. So with that, those who are aware and do know this do have to, or have had to, hide it in allegory and in song and in stories. And but as we move forward, and as the last remnants of evil continue to be eradicated, and we step into our this new age, these messages will become very consistent, and I'm quite excited for that. And I know that I won't stop talking about it, because it's everything within me. It's such a soul fulfilling thing to talk about. And it's almost like, well, what else is there to talk about? Because there's really nothing much. I mean, there isn't anything else. It's just reverberations of the same, which doesn't make it boring or monotonous. It's actually the most exciting experience ever, because that same reverberation can create ripples, and the ripples play off all sorts of different things, and it shows up in so many different ways. So it's an endless opportunity to talk about. But if we come back to that source of where are these ripples coming from, where is this divine spark of consciousness permeating off into the experience, and stay there and follow it from there, and just observe it from there, then we're not taking the effects of the ripples as if that is reality solely, and I'm just living off the effects. Stay with the cause. Christ is the cause. Stay with the Christ. Stay with the cause. So anyway, yeah, I'll just pass it back and see if anyone else wants to jump in. We probably start wrapping up here pretty soon, but happy to hear from anyone else if they have any thoughts or questions or things they want to go over before we do. Alrighty. Well, since we have some time, let's just go over the lyrics of the two songs that I want to play you guys out with, talking about people who have been proudly singing about these various things, the Christ and how it shows up. Let's play some more Mumford and Sons too.
I just want to say, Justin, thank you for bringing me back to life. Thank you for bringing me back to life, because that's what happened with this live stream. Okay?
Well, you're so welcome.
I thank you. You brought me back to life today. You did it. Thank you.
You are so welcome, brother. And I did nothing other than just hold a mirror up to you to remind you how beautiful you are. And that's what the Christ does. It it simply just sees the beauty in this experience and these conscious points that we have. And
thank you so much. I'm so grateful. I'm sorry, I don't have the words. I'm just so grateful. Thank you, Justin. Thank you. God bless you. God bless all of us. God bless all of us. Please, God.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate that. And yeah, I feel very blessed and I feel very honored to hear that from you. And I'm so happy that you found that, found. Yeah. So thank you for the gratitude, and right back at you, my friend. And yeah, I saw Leah raise your hand. Did you want to share something?
Hi, Justin. Thank you. Hi, everyone. I just wanted to say that this quest has, I just want to say thank you for having these quests, because it just reiterates the importance of them and how helpful they are for us, giving us a space to be able to converse about these things and bounce what's going on in our lives with each other in a very safe space. So I just wanted to thank you, and I also wanted to give a shout out to Tracy for her contribution of what she said regarding this topic. I thought that was very poignant, and what came to mind as well when she was speaking was we must lose ourselves to find ourselves, and it's that constant. That's part of the process. So I just wanted to thank you and everyone here for all that they bring and creating this beautiful, beautiful place where we can share and mull over, and as we all grow together as well as individually. So thank you.
Oh, thanks, Leah. Go ahead, Tracy.
Hey. Sorry. I haven't heard your voice in a long time, Legs. And I was thinking about you. And we haven't spoken like in a while. And I know, anyway, but I actually tried to manifest that you would speak today before this. And going, geez, I really want to hear Leg's voice and hear how she is. And I've been meaning to reach out privately as well. And I'm just so grateful. I just got really emotional about it, but just, yeah, I'm really grateful. Thank you for the comment, but it's really good to hear from you as well. And, yeah, thank you for stating that, because it's so true, and we're grateful to have the space. But, yeah, I just really appreciate you so much. There's been a lot of fluctuations going on. I think, it's been many years we've sort of been here now. Not many. Was it 2, 3? 3? I've lost track. Time is so weird. Time is so weird that way. It feels like forever, but yet I know it's really only been a short time. A few years, it really isn't that long. But when we would speak, a few years ago, as we were meeting and getting to know each other, it's crazy how much time, only time in terms of what's fluctuating in our lives personally, but yet we still have this connection here. And I want to also say too that like I know I've kind of spoken superficially about sort of what I'm physically going through and whatnot, but spiritually here, if being able to speaking about the move specifically and the transition of that and what it brings about and everything. If I had not felt the centered, the true feeling, a true gift of being graced by God understanding, having gone through what we've gone through, learning about more of the text, like the Gospel of Thomas. Like, thank you for reminding me of that. I want to put that on as I'm doing some more unpacking. So that's a really beautiful one. But just getting such a deeper understanding myself, because I'm just a baby. I'm just a baby in Christ, in all of this. I really am. So it's been incredible to learn. It just really has, and I can't even imagine. I just can't imagine not having it. But I do know, like, that's watching people that are going through really, really tough stuff, like watching those protests and stuff like that. Yes, I have. Part of me has expressed, laughing at, even mocking them, and not to be, not in necessarily cruel and mean ways, but the absurdness of it all. Not them individually per se, but the behaviors, but ultimately, knowing that somebody doesn't have that, knowing that they don't have that pure love is just truly what it is, and that you could see that they don't love themselves. You could see it. You could see it. You could. I've spoken on how the hate is very, very real. It's ratchet up to a level that it's mind-boggling to witness. But ultimately, I do feel that inside for the people that don't have that. And if I have not had that myself, I really don't want to imagine what, it's not that I'm going through anything extreme. This moving is not like, I've got to talk about it so dramatically. I have to apologize for that, actually. It's like I'm not going through, like, I'm not at war. I'm not in any harm. I'm not, anyway, it's just unsettling and instability and certain whatever aspects of it that are, the unknown and stuff like that. So there's nothing, like, it's not like it's scary per se, but just the feeling of, like you said, losing yourself, letting it go. There's, it's not necessarily like I'm sad to see the change, but there is a part of it that is sad, I guess. So, but also it's just so beautiful. So yeah, I'm just really grateful to have that. I wanted to mention that because it's what I really am feeling here. Like you said, Justin, that I absolutely feel divinely led here. This is absolutely divine. I have to say that because I only spoke of, like, the real, again, like me choosing, okay, I'm going to do this with my ex and taking this done. But I haven't spoken on it, but I have throughout the process been watching the signs, and, like, I've got a couple addresses right around the corner here, just a few yards up as I walk out, is 111A, and right next to it is 11. So kind of just in really random, weird house numbers. So they're, like, right there, and I kept looking at those numbers, the 11s, and then there was that thing on the Air India crash. The guy was in aisle 11. Was there a seat 11A or something like that? The supposed only survivor of that Air India crash. That was the number of his ticket. But anyway, just being able to, let go of, because there is a whole, like I said, 2 decades of living in one area, moving on from a divorce and completely starting in this new space is very transformational. And I know that it's completely and divinely God-led. And yeah, I'm just really grateful. So thank you, Legs. I love you so much. Thank you for speaking.
Wow, Tracy, that's beautiful. I just think it's so sweet when somebody shares their vulnerability. It just, you see their heart, and you see there's something so connected. That's what connects us, is that feeling, that sweet vulnerability. So Thank you for that, Tracy. That's really beautiful. And yeah, this space is just so needed. Let's do our best to try not to dissolve this, because this is what we need while we're going on our individual solo journeys. We also need to come together and have that collective experience. So I'm just so warmed and so touched by how beautiful the souls are in this collective here. So again, and I just wanted to quickly also mention the conversation Justin had with Gabrielle. It was just so divine, and his energy was so beautiful, and the two of them together, Justin and Gabrielle together, were just so complementary. Their energies were just right on target, right on the spot. So yeah, and I also wanted to mention that I'm happy because when I was listening to it, I was thinking, oh, I'd love that series in audiobooks, and I was sharing with Elaine that I would love to do the voiceover as well. So Justin, I'm with you on that too.
Oh, amazing. Yeah, it's thank you. Thank you so much for all that you've just said. And I first want to start with just thank you for highlighting and emphasizing the share that Tracy gave earlier and bringing that back up, which led to all this. It's so appropriate. And I particularly love every time that you share, Tracy, in that it's this continuous, like the wisdom that you're finding through these experiences and the stuff that you're going through is so it's hard to describe just how happy it is to hear, and for you to take us along with you in these various moments and the revelations that you have, and then also the times where it's like, you know, really challenging, and just being transparent with that is it is, as Leah mentioned, it's such a gift. That vulnerability is such a gift, and that's the you know, us like creaking open our heart, the door, the gate on our heart, and allowing others to come in, you know, others that we feel safe with, and so yeah, I'm very happy that this is a place that we can do that, and then we can share, and it's like a fountain, right? Like that's the vision that kept popping in when you were speaking, Leah, about this space that we gather. It's this fountain that we drink from. We quench our thirst. We fill ourselves. We fill our cup, our container, and we take it with us out into the world, into our other experiences, so that we can offer that same nourishing fluid, you know, this divine drink that we're having here together. And then we can always come back and refill, and then we learn to like turn on that fountain wherever we are, and we always have access to that, but there is something that's just so magical about us collectively coming together and doing it all at the same time together in this way. So anyway, just relishing in that. And then yeah, the thank you for mentioning that about the conversation with Gabriel. That was one of my favorite podcasts. If you haven't had a chance to see it, I highly recommend it. It was the Heaven on Earth through Ringing Cedars, our first one together, and we were talking just after that discussion and just getting excited about the next one that we'll do. And I think we're going to do a deep dive into book one, and maybe do just one episode on book one and kind of do the books that way, or maybe go deeper. But yeah, he was really excited to continue the conversation, and he really enjoyed his time as well. So I'm sure we will be doing that. And yeah, I think that covered everything. But just again, thank you so much for speaking up, Leah and Tracy and Carrie and all others who have been listening today. It's been such a wonderful discussion. I'll just see if there's anyone else who has any closing comments before we do wrap up. I just wanted to give an opportunity if anybody else feels inspired to speak. Yeah, awesome. Well, it's a great way to end this talk today. And yeah, as I mentioned, let's just briefly go through the lyrics of the songs that I'd like to close us out with. So more Mumford and Sons. And these songs are Ghost That We Knew is the first one. And so the lyrics state, "You saw my pain washed out in the rain, broken glass, saw the blood run from my veins, but you saw no fault, no cracks in my heart, and you knelt beside my hope torn apart." So this is the fall and us sort of coming from that rock bottom and, you know, redeclaring ourselves. But it's a painful process to go through that. But the ghosts that we knew will flicker from view, will live a long life. So the ghosts in that sort of anti-Christic, you know, the egotistical, whatever description you want to say, the ghosts that we knew that kept us from the path of life and will live a long life. So give me hope in the darkness that I will see the light, because oh, they gave me such a fright. But I will hold on as long as you like. Just promise me we'll be all right. So this love song to Christ, you know, give me hope in that darkness that I will see the light. Powerful words, powerful prayer. So lead me back, turn south from that place, and close my eyes to my recent disgrace, because you know my call and will share my all. And our children come and they will hear me roar. So as we step back into our power, we step back into that Christic way, they will hear me roar. So again, repeats the chorus there, give me hope in the darkness that I will see the light. But hold me still, bury my heart on the coals, but hold me still, bury my heart in the coals. And hold me still, bury my heart next to yours. So yeah, just this rekindling of our love connection with Christ and stepping back into that. So yeah, then it repeats here. And the ghosts that we knew made us black and all blue, bruised us, we beat ourselves up, but we'll live a long life. We'll eventually leave. So yeah, that's that song. And then another beautiful song, beautiful prayer song. Both of these are kind of are. All of their songs are a prayer of sorts. But this one's called Below My Feet. So you were cold as the blood through your bones, and the light which led us from our chosen homes while I was lost. And now I sleep the hours that I can't weep, when all I knew was steeped in blackened holes while I was lost. So again, this sort of fallen state that we can find ourselves in when we find ourselves falling into doubt and despair, and it's okay. You know, like we can have those moments, and they provide such a beautiful contrasting experience to when we step back into the love and the grace and the knowing, you know, like there's purpose in the contrast. And so then it breaks into this prayer: keep the earth below my feet. From my sweat, my blood runs weak. Let me learn from where I have been, and keep my eyes to serve, my hands to learn. Keep my eyes to serve, my hands to learn. So what a beautiful prayer. Keep me grounded. Keep the earth below my feet. From my sweat, my blood runs weak. So from my sweat, my blood runs weak. So when we do fall into that weakness, let me learn from where I have been. Let me learn from my past, and keep my eyes to serve and my hands to learn. And I was still, but I was under your spell when I was told by Jesus all was well. So all must be well. So again, they're not really hiding it, what they're referring to. Just give me time when you know your desires and mine. singing to God. So wrap my flesh in ivy and entwine. So in ivy, the vines, the divine, the two vines, ivy and entwine, they're twisting together, the double helix, the DNA strand, the kundalini rising within, for I must be well. And then it repeats the prayer twice again. So yeah, really beautiful songs. I think y'all will enjoy these quite a lot. But that's what I'm going to play us out with. So just again, thank you everyone for being here today, for spending time a little bit off schedule than normal. I do believe we'll go back to Thursdays, though. Yeah, I'm pretty sure we're going to go back to Thursdays again next week after I go see Mumford and Sons, which I'm very excited about. And yeah, so feel free to send any questions or anything, any feedback you have about the show or any shows or any questions that come up or topics you want to talk about. These are always available and always happy to hear from you. But until then, have a wonderful rest of your day wherever you are, and bring this drink from this fountain and make sure to share it. You know, make sure to offer it to others who need a drink, who have a hard time even remembering what drinking is like. Give them a taste of that through your kindness, through that grace, through that offering, and then help to encourage them to find that fountain within themselves as well, and to come to this space that they match in that same sort of frequency. So that's it. I'll go ahead, Carrie. Did you have a closing comment you wanted to say?
Yeah. Could you tell me, what are your thoughts on Kundalini awakening?
Say that again.
Could you tell me your thoughts on Kundalini awakening?
A big question right at the end of the show. I might save that for next week, if you don't mind, just because that's a bigger topic to get into. But just very briefly, the Kundalini is referencing the Ida and the Pingala, which are these two energetic superhighways that wrap around our spine, or the Sushumna, the internal channel. So we have the three rivers within the Ida, the Pingala, and the Sushumna. And these are the energetic pathways that we raise the Christ consciousness up. And that's why Christ died when he was 33 years old. And we have 33 vertebrae in our spine to signify this path within us that we are here to rise, to allow the Christ to rise up within us, to not spill our seed with temptations in the flesh, but to really allow that cerebral spinal fluid, as some call it, or the Christic spinal fluid, to allow it to rise up our spine and activate our heaven, activate the pituitary, the pineal, and the hypothalamus, which are these three sacred glands that secrete all that we need to live in eternally, physically, and live in bliss and absolute bliss. So that's it in a very, very tight nutshell. But I'm happy to go over it further next week when we have a little bit more time. So thanks for the question. And yeah, we'll get into that.
Yeah, thank you. I look forward to that.
Yeah, you're very welcome. So yeah, enjoy these two songs as we play us out, and have a wonderful rest of your day. I love you guys. Take care, everybody.